Devlog number 22. This is going to be kind of a weird one because most of the stuff I'm going to talk about is not actually in the game. Been spending a lot of time kind of elsewhere for a good reason, but I can talk about a few things here first. So first thing I do after I put up any devlog video is to spend a couple of days fixing all the little issues that I saw in there. Might not have gotten through every single one that I listed, but I got through quite a few. So some of the notable ones that I fixed. Cursor. I'm rolling over this, so I'm seeing that. It's fine. Everything's fine. I didn't find a new problem in the first few seconds of this yet. It'll happen. I have this little icon here. It's not a good icon, but it at least indicates that there is something in progress there. All my iconography is due for an update, as I said before. This style doesn't match this style. This particular little triangle thing doesn't actually look too good on that color. So I can't show that yet, or I'll be spoiling stuff. Stuff I want to talk about. Anyway, yeah, so there's an icon here that exists to match that. Notable stuff. So I did take my own suggestion that I liked very much. Right, that's a working setup, which had a warrior here. The suggestion to make this a one-click deal. So I just press, I pressed the back button. Finger was in the wrong place. I press, and it goes straight to add champion instead of highlighting the tile. So if I want to do that, I can highlight the tile. If I want to move this warrior around. But yeah, if I just press once here, it lets me add a champion. Oh no, alignment. This is too far to the right. Why? Yeah, look, this is clearly aligned right of center. Here's center. Here's where that's aligned. Okay. There's my issue. Number one, how many will I accumulate? Probably lots. I always do. Anyway, right, so, and also this is going to look a little funny because I have a bug going on here, where the combat log is going to right align itself, sort of. It centers, but also right aligns within how it centers. Working on it. There's a good reason for that bug to be there. I just didn't quite have the time to fix it today. It'll be an easy one. Anyway, so once combat actually ends, so there's the killing blow on the imp. We're on turn 9 here. Imp was defeated. Battle has ended on turn 9. Player wins. So now it tells you which turn it was when you ended the battle. Just so that's a little more accessible. Okay, and that wasn't a new solution, so it didn't save it to my log. Oh, this stuff. These things stay in place now between these two screens. It looks great. Thank you for that suggestion. You know who you are. So yeah, this is sort of a constant fixture in both places. Some of the stuff up here is probably going to go away. But like the button transition, that'll stay around. There'll probably be something else up there. Battle log pops in from the bottom and looks bad. It pops in from here. Ooh, okay, that's not how that should work. It should either fade or slide in from much lower. Probably fade, or just like not exist. have a nice frame around it so it's not white text printed over this light background. Yeah, this combat log is one of the oldest, jankiest things that I have in here, and it needs to go. It needs to be replaced with something nice. Haven't gotten to it yet. It's farther down to the to-do list. Okay, other notable stuff. The map screen now has a very deliberate cursor default priority system. Where, so let's solve this encounter real quick. So I got a warrior here, have a mage. Mage is gonna get standard stuff. Does a warrior have what he needs? Probably not. These actions, that's enough. That's all I need to do. Okay, and you cast fire on everybody. Okay. I'm gonna use my end button, which is very handy. Okay. So yeah, now that I have a new unlock, I'm going to press the gamepad button to go back, and my cursor goes there. So the highest priority, so basically every time I come to this screen, like every time this screen is loaded, it evaluates the entire map and assigns a priority to each map tile, basically, and the one with the highest priority gets the cursor. If they're equal, it's just the first one that it arrives at. So 3 and 4 were equal priority there because they had both just gotten newly unlocked. 3 took priority because it was a lower number. It was the first one encountered. I believe if I go back and then forward, yes, it will default to the one that I have seen, but not solved. So the priority is new unlock. Last one seen when returning from the battle screen. So like this one would normally be very low priority because it's solved, but if I come back from it, it's the one that the cursor was on. However, if I go back and then forwards, then it's going to default to this. So backing all the way out and then forward will put you down a different branch, but backing out just to here and then going back forward will take you back to where you were. Anyway, yeah, so new unlock is top priority. So coming back from this screen, it won't highlight the last one you were on if you unlocked something new. So basically, like, you come back here, press the button, and you're in the new one. Let's see, return to battle screen. We just saw that. Next highest priority is one that has saved progress. So, like, if I have seen both of these puzzles, puzzle 1 will have the priority because it's earlier in the list. But if I add some progress to this, like put a working solution in here, yeah, okay, so you can see how bad that icon looks against that background. So that's one thing that I don't like about this style of icon. I still have to think about this a bit. It doesn't come with a border. Like the style is borderless, therefore can blend into poorly chosen background colors. But like these all have dark borders around them, so they look fine. But adding a dark border to this style might not look right. I could make this a downstream problem of like color choice for map design. Like just sort of encourage map authors, which is mostly going to be me, but you know, anybody else who wants to make a map for this, show them a preview of what every icon will look like over their chosen map colors, and you know, encourage them not to choose colors that clash with this, and don't do it myself, etc. Also, the highlight color is barely visible. This is slightly lighter now, it's slightly darker now. So this is just a real bad color in general. Because like over here you can see the highlight clearly, but on the yellow it's almost invisible. It might be completely erased by video encoding for all I know. Yeah, so yeah, the real problem is just the color I've chosen for the puzzle tile. Okay, I'm making that decision right now, live on video. This is not my problem, other than when I'm designing a map. This is the problem of color choice for map screen. Anyway, right, so that's all fine. Right, yeah, next priority down was anything with saved progress. So yeah, now that that has saved progress, it goes there instead of here. Next one down is anything that's been seen. Yeah, so we saw that already. Can I clear this setup and do... Oh, right. So those have unique sounds now. There's a sound for clearing the setup, one for restoring a setup, one for saving a setup. I'm not going to press this button yet, though, because there's a thing I'm going to show in there. So right, yeah, next priority is anything that's seen is higher priority than unseen. And then anything that's... Okay, yeah, so if you haven't seen any, then it would rather default to something that's unseen than something that's solved. And if you've solved everything, then nothing has a higher priority than anything else, so the cursor will just go to the first one. Anyway, yeah, so that's my priority system. Took a little more work than it probably sounds like it did. Anyway, yeah, so there are unique sounds in here for saving and restoring setups. So the thing that I've been spending the last like 2 weeks solid on, well, it's actually been kind of two things at once, but one of the main things was I saw that on the screen there was a place where I needed to input text, and I didn't have an editable text widget in my UI toolkit at the time. An editable text field is a juicy little morsel of code that is... I've had the opportunity a few times in my life to implement an editable text field from scratch, and it has always been just a super treat. Like, it's one of my favorite things to program, and I had the chance to do it here, and I set up a real fancy, super full-featured editable text field here. So it's got cursor management and everything. It has cut and paste. This works with the system clipboard. So, like, here's some code. I'm going to copy a portion of some code in here. It doesn't quite know what to do with the menu cursor yet because I'm going back and forth between mouse and keyboard modes very rapidly here. Ooh, Ooh, got a bug here. What's that CQ? That's probably memory garbage. Did I? Okay, it doesn't have undo. Okay, so I may have some garbage memory coming in at the end of my paste buffer. Yeah, because there was no CQ involved. Ooh. Wait, did I select that? I may have selected that. Did I get the parenthesis? I probably did. Anyway, yeah, and it works both ways. So I type some nonsense here. I can copy this, and I can paste it into a text editor. So yeah, interacts with the system clipboard, has full-blown selection and everything. It has like word selection, you know, arrow by word, all that stuff, all the goodies. So yeah, this was just super fun. And the reason that I spent so much time on it was because there's going to be, this just happened to be my first use for an editable text field here. There are going to be things like, for example, I'm going to have a scenario editor in here, of course, and it will be necessary to type in the text contents of all lore entries. So I want a real nice text editor for that. And again, since I enjoy implementing editable text so much, I decided to just take the time and make a pretty much full-featured one off the bat. So this is not actually a great place to demonstrate all the features of that. I'm going to go over to the test harness application that I use for my UI toolkit. So I have, okay, let's see. Complicated to figure out how to organize what I want to show here. I won't talk about everything yet, but I just have a standalone place where I can try all my little UI widgets. These should look relatively familiar, right? Yeah, so it prints when things do stuff. I can press, ooh. Right, this is fine. Keyboard focus is staying here even when I use my mouse here, so that makes sense. That's a label. Those are buttons. Button 2 action, button 1 action, icon button action. Got this thing here, which whenever you see a, what I call a data window view, sure, is there a better looking one somewhere? Sure, yeah, okay, so you can see like the alternating row colors here. So dark row, light row, dark row, light row. That's all drawn with a mechanism that takes, what does this actually look like? Okay. If I were to look at my UI toolkits, resources, Atlas data, oh boy, what is this? Windows, no. I don't approve of this. Just give me, sure, that's fine. Which frame does it use? This is just using the, no, that's not the, oh, this is using the checkbox graphic. Okay, so it's taking this little checkbox circle and stretching it out to that shape. All right, so the base, well, yeah, you can just see it on screen. The base graphic is this. But I sort of do a 9-slice thing where I draw the upper right corner, then stretch the center, then the upper right corner. I said right for this, didn't I? Left, you know. Stretch it down there. And then, based on a given row height, I draw a alternating colors. And I can resize this. Look how satisfying and smooth that is. There's a little bit of a pop right when I hit a boundary. But anyway, so that was the mechanism that I used for drawing my, the rows there. But anyway, I only wanted to talk about that because it's really satisfying to do this, and I wanted to show this action. It looks cool. Anyway, so I have texts here that I can mess with. Here's a single line text field. If I press enter, it'll give me a callback. If I press enter up here, it'll insert a line break. Do have a lot of other stuff going on, like if I go out of the text field, the cursor continues. The text itself clips. I don't have any scrolling in there. Yeah, selection just goes outside. So, you know, there's more to do here. But yeah, so center aligned, right aligned. You know, it all does exactly as it should. So yeah, I've been really happy with just how all of this works together. It only handles Okay, I thought I saw something. It only handles ASCII at the moment. If I were to localize this game, or anything that uses this widget, not necessarily just this game, but this is part of my entire game framework I use for everything, it would perhaps be a problem that I can't render like umlauts or Chinese characters or right to left Arabic text or anything like that. At a previous job I had once, I actually implemented a thing like this. This was one of the other times in my life that I got to do this from scratch. A text field that did handle bidirectional text. That was the entire purpose. That was sort of my primary job for as long as it took to write that thing. It was fun. So, I would know how to do that if I had to. It's just that sticking to ASCII makes things so much easier. I can have 1-byte characters. I can fit my entire font into one little texture atlas. So anyway, this is extensible if I need to extend it, but for now it's pretty okay as it is. So I wanted to talk just a little bit about the code architecture that it takes to make one of these things. So this might look real complicated. It has a lot of very specific edge cases. Like for example, I double-click here and it selects the space and then words. If I double-click inside a word, then it just selects like that. If I were to have some lines of different lengths like that, I place my cursor here. I down arrow so my cursor's there, but it remembers the column that it was in when I down arrow again, so it goes there. This is all written from scratch, so I had to put in the code for every single detail of all this behavior. It's fun though. So yeah, code architecture, in case you're curious. This is what I call a UI edit text. Where are you? UI edit text.c. Let's look at the .h. It's part of my UI toolkit, which has UI element as the base class, basically, in my weird little custom object-oriented C convention that I use. So UI element is, everything you see on this screen is a UI element, except this. This is just a graphic that's drawn. But yeah, a radio button is a UI element, a button is a UI element, label is a UI element, edit text is a UI element. So UI element is my interface for event flow, pretty much. So it does, so layout and event flow. So it does the hit test, so I know that when I click here, I'm clicking on the edit text and not on the radio button or one of these other things. So there's the hit test, there's specific handling for mouse down and mouse up, like the mouse down tells the UI button that it draws in that state. Mouse dragged tells it to stop drawing in that state. Mouse up tells it to take its action if the cursor is still within it when the click ends. Stuff like that. Scroll wheel, eventually I'll have scrolling here, but right now I don't. Key events, right, so the edit text is particularly interested in key events. So, UI edit text will have an override for, so UI edit text key down gets a character code, a key code, modifier flags, whether it's a repeat or not, and the time at which the event was generated. And it does all the handling. Anyway, so UI element is the superclass that does the event flow. UI edit text is the text field which handles those events, and then a different hierarchy here. UI edit text adds editing behavior on top of what I call a text flow. Text flow is a conceptual container that takes a string that may have new lines in it and a width and does word wrapping on it. So like without inserting any new lines in here, I'll just hammer on my keyboard a bunch, press the space character occasionally, and oh no, kerning looks real bad between those characters. K and J need different kerning. JK looks great, KJ looks bad. Okay, need to adjust my kerning. That's like tiny issue number 6 that I see. My semicolon doesn't look great either. It's too thick compared to everything else. Anyway, so Yeah, so text flow handles word wrapping and basically like two-dimensional text, anything that's multi-line. Also does alignment, like left, center, right. Text flow sits on top of GL bitmap font. So that is the layer that just takes a one-dimensional string of characters and can measure it, give you an index at a particular position, and can actually draw it to the screen. So yeah, text flow, the core basis of like everything that happens with edit text, with all the cursor management and selection and stuff, is position at index and index at position. So as long as I can go from a screen position to a character index into this string, and from a character index in this string to a screen position, then that's pretty much all I need as a basis for doing like all the cursor management and everything, all this stuff that's necessary for text editing. I got a couple of other convenience functions here, but yeah, those are the really important ones. And right, yeah, so GL bitmap font renders the actual characters. GL bitmap font itself is built on top of Texture Atlas, which I've shown a few times, like a packed Texture Atlas. Let's see what this one has made out of its atlas. If I go to generated, test appearance atlas.ping, open with image editor. This takes a moment. Yeah, so we've looked at this before in earlier devlogs. I have a utility that takes images and packs them into the texture with another metadata file that says, like, these are the coordinates where the one character is. So yeah, GL bitmap font is built on top of that. It knows how to find the one character and print it to the screen, and then it just does that action in sequence for whatever text I want to output. And also this atlas happens to have my my other widget graphics in it. So anyway, I didn't make any changes. Why are you asking me to save changes? Because I didn't make any. Right, yeah, so that's the sort of organizational hierarchy of how all of this code is put together. So UI edit text itself, the one that adds the editing behavior on top of the text flow, is like, 700 lines and change. It's not small, but it's not gargantuan. Yeah, so a whole bunch of event flow stuff. The most complicated thing is handling the arrow keys. So sure, mouse down calls index at position, of course, mouse drag does largely the same. The actual text input part is very simple. Like, this is my entire text entry function. That's all it really takes. Convert new lines, sure, yeah. So a lot of arrow key handling. This is where the most edge cases are. All the modifier keys do different things. So, with control it does that. Without control it does that. With shift it does that. With control and shift it does that, etc. Home and control down, control up, down, up. It's a lot of stuff. So yeah, most of this code in here is just arrow key stuff. So yeah, delete a character, splice the string into there, delete forward, you can do that. Home and page up, page down. Copy, cut, paste, that stuff. Yeah, so figuring out system APIs for copy and paste was fun. Where's my thing? Yeah, this is how you do it on Windows. Copy text to clipboard works like that. Get clipboard text works like that. And those are my clipboard functions. On the Mac, this is a one-liner. This is a two-liner. On Linux, these are both extremely long and complicated. X11 has a very strange clipboard system, but it works on all three of those. I'll talk about Linux a bit more in just a bit. Right, yeah, here if you press the return key, it gives you a callback if there's one assigned. If there isn't one assigned, then it just inserts a new line. And that's pretty much all of it. Yeah, then just drawing. Drawing the selection's a little bit complicated. And yeah, that's the whole thing. Anyway, yeah, so this little morsel is what I've spent my last couple of weeks on, and I'm extremely happy with it. Still needs a little more work, but it's pretty good. So back to the game itself. I haven't thought about, well, I've thought a little bit about the fact that I can control this whole thing with a gamepad and never touch my mouse or keyboard. Once I get here, I'm not sure what to do. Since this is a desktop computer game, I probably don't need to do anything. If you're using this on a desktop computer, then you have a keyboard in front of you. You can just put down your gamepad and go here and type. Or just be happy with your save being named Untitled 1. That's my save sound. That's my restore sound. And that's my clear sound. So if I were to ever target like a game console with this, I'd probably have to put a virtual keyboard on screen or something that you could use with a gamepad. If I were targeting touchscreen devices, then again, virtual keyboard, probably the System 1. Maybe not, I don't know. But yeah, as long as there's a keyboard in front of me, this is pretty reasonable. All right, that garbage name is now in here. I still don't have a way to delete these. I was just doing text editing stuff. Anyway, yeah, so I'm not targeting consoles. I'm not targeting touchscreen devices at the moment, so I'm not too worried about that, really. Anyway, yeah, so that's been a fun couple of weeks. So that was one major thing that I did. Another thing that I can't really show too easily, I bought a new computer, and I'm thinking of making it my primary computer, finally replacing this MacBook Pro that I've been using as my primary, just like daily driver, all the things I want to do on a computer when I want general computing tasks, and also just like the default for developing new stuff in this game. My normal workflow is I'll write code on a Mac, test it on a Mac, then whenever I'm doing a devlog, go over to Windows, do an SVN update, and pull in all the changes. Fix a couple of compiler errors if they're there, because Windows GCC is a bit different from Mac, Clang, things like that. But yeah, so I have been really unhappy with my Mac laptop for a while. And I bought a new one that's running Ubuntu right now. And just like an hour ago, I got this game fully building and running on it. It's missing some stuff like audio. That's kind of an important one. It's just totally silent, but it runs great other than that. Everything else works, just don't have audio. So yeah, I can say that this game will now be getting more attention on the Linux portion of my code here will now be getting more attention because I have a computer that runs it and builds it, and that's going to be one of my primary operating systems. Windows needs work too. There's that audio latency that I mentioned. Yeah, audio is not really good on a lot of platforms. It's a complicated topic. Anyway, yeah, so as far as like things actually in the game, I haven't had time to really do anything else, but now that the text field is more or less working the way I want, a couple of little tweaks yet to make. Oh, I missed the OK button. That's fine. Yep. I can move on to other things. Not sure what those are. I've been in text field land for so long that I've forgotten, but I have some other things to do. Anyway, yeah, so I'll see you next time for maybe some more news that's directly relevant to this game, or maybe I'll find some other rabbit hole to fall down. We'll see. I'll see you then.